This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf and his government denied rumors that he has been placed under house arrest by the deputy commander of the army. Musharraf described this news as a ridiculous prank. A French news agency reported that a Pakistani minister said that Musharraf's promise to step down as the commander of the army and to become a civilian leader of the country is no longer valid after the imposed emergency rule.
At
this time, an Al Jazeera correspondent in Islamabad has learned that the leader of the Jamiat al-Islamiyya, Qadi Hussein Ahmed, has been placed under house arrest in Lahore, the largest city in the Punjab region. His deputy was also arrested. Pakistani police forces arrested nearly 200 lawyers, including many women, during the protests in Lahore. The police forces used batons and tear gas to disperse the lawyers, who were demonstrating in front of the Supreme Court in Lahore, protesting President Musharraf's imposed emergency rule in the country.
The Al Jazeera correspondent in Islamabad reported that according to the vice leader of the Pakistani Jamiat al-Islamiyya, Iqiliat Baluch, between 700 and 800 activists opposing the state of emergency were arrested yesterday evening in various parts of the country. Our correspondent added that the Pakistani security forces raided the Lawyers Guild building at the High Court in Karachi and arrested tens of lawyers who were demonstrating against the imposed state of emergency.
In Quetta, the largest city in the Baluchistan region in southwest Pakistan, there was a general strike today as a response to a call made by the Lawyers Guild and as an expression of opposition to the state of emergency. All of the markets were completely closed in the city, whose streets were empty of any activity except for a few pedestrians.
Examples of international reactions include the U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice saying that Musharraf must give up his military fatigues. Australia decided to call on the General High Commissioner of Pakistan to express concerns over the state of emergency in Pakistan. The Australian Foreign Minister, Alexander Downer, said that his country wants stability for Pakistan in order for it to contribute to confronting the Taliban movement in Afghanistan. With us from Lahore is the Judge Hussein Ahmed, the leader of the Jamiat al-Islamiyya in Pakistan. Can you confirm that you have actually been placed under house arrest?
Yes. I have been put under house arrest.
Yes, I have been put under house arrest. I was presented with orders today regarding this matter. I'm now sitting in my own house. I was asked to be here for 90 days. No particular reason has been given, except that it says that my speeches are provoking anti-government sentiments in the streets. Actually, my only crime is that I said that what Musharraf is doing is unconstitutional, and his order to suspend the Constitution goes against the Constitution and is considered the grand treason. Musharraf should be tried for treason.
Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice was optimistic about the chances for peace today as she traveled to Ramallah following her talks with Israeli leaders in Jerusalem yesterday. Joining us now in the studio is IBA's diplomatic correspondent, Leah Zinder. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you very much, Yochanan. Well, of course, nobody knows for sure yet whether the efforts to bring the sides to Annapolis will succeed, but the voices coming out of Ramallah today were upbeat. PA President Mahmoud Abbas said that Israel and the Palestinians and the United States have agreed to aim for a peace settlement before the end of the Bush presidency in January 2009. At a joint press conference, both Abbas and Rice called on Israel to start meeting some of its short-term peace obligations, such as a freeze on settlements. Most importantly, it appears that the Palestinians have given up on their demand that the joint declaration be presented in Annapolis and include a timeline for resolving the most sensitive core issues of the conflict. Israel strenuously objects to such a schedule, especially while the Qassam rocket attacks continue unchecked. But as he made clear in his talks with Rice today, Abbas is demanding that concrete steps be taken by Israel in advance of the Annapolis conference, including the release of 2,000 Palestinian security prisoners, the removal of checkpoints and other measures. Abbas needs these measures to try to improve his standing in the eyes of his people. And the word from the Prime Minister's office today is that the release of prisoners and other steps to increase freedom of movement of the Palestinians are being positively considered and could well be implemented in the near future. On the other hand, I should add that some of Olmert's coalition partners in Shas and especially in Israel Beitenu have already expressed their strong objections to another prisoner release at this time. Well, this is what Secretary Rice had to say in Ramallah this morning.
I am very pleased that we now seem to be moving toward an understanding that Annapolis can indeed be the launching pad for serious, sustained, continuous negotiations that will lead to the establishment of two states living side by side in peace. As I've said many times, the Palestinian people have waited a long time for the dignity that will come with an independent state, and the Israeli people have waited a long time for a peaceful neighbor that can help to provide real security. And I believe that those two neighbors living side by side would make a very big difference in the very nature of the Middle East itself, a region that has too long been torn by strife and by turmoil and by deprivation.
Yes, Condoleezza Rice. And one more word, a joint committee headed by the Americans will oversee implementation of these short-term measures.
In other news, Prime Minister Olmert says that he will not negotiate Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state or the Palestinian people's right to their own state. Olmert made these comments at the Saban Forum in Jerusalem last night regarding the Palestinian objection to the reference to Israel as a Jewish state within the joint declaration to be presented at the Annapolis Peace Conference. During his address, Olmert said that his government is aware of the weakness of the Palestinian leadership, although he stressed that there is an opportunity for peace and that it must be seized. Olmert said, quote, "We will not let the Palestinians neglect their duties as stipulated in the roadmap for peace, nor will we shirk from our responsibilities." The Prime Minister said that he hopes concrete achievement will be reached even before the end of the George W. Bush presidential term in 2008. Also addressing the Saban Forum last night were U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and Quartet Peace Envoy, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair.
I think, if I may say so, it's time for everyone to get real. If Israel truly believes its long-term security is best served by the Palestinians having a state, it is time, consistent with such security, actually to make it happen. Not to wait and see if it happens, but to push vigorously for the conditions in which it will happen. If the Palestinians want a state, they have to accept the responsibility of statehood, taking the tough decisions to make sure they have the capability, particularly on security. Intentions will not suffice, only actions will. If the rest of us truly want to help, we're going to have to give it focus, time, relentless effort and support. I saw, as Condi knows, President Bush at the White House 2 weeks ago, and as she herself has made clear many times, and I can vouch for it.
I know that many people, perhaps many of you, think that our focus on democracy might have been a bit naive, and I've heard, well, it backfired with Hamas's election. Well, let me say categorically, I disagree with that conclusion. The leaders of Hamas always had the power to effect decisions of war and peace. What they never had was the responsibility for exercising that power, and that is what democracy gave them. The Palestinians then held Hamas accountable for the first time, and so did the international community. We confronted Hamas with the very choice it had always refused to make. You can be a political party, or you can be a terrorist group. but you cannot be both.
The history of Zionist governments is full of crimes, including a long list of assassinations against the leadership of the Palestinian people, who've been victimized in various ways. The following report sheds some light on this policy.
لم تكن سياسة الاغتيالات جديدة على حكومة الاحتلال فتاريخها السياسي.
The policy of assassinations is not new. The history of the occupation government includes a long list of assassinations that began when Zionist gangs entered into Palestinian lands and continues today. Palestinians still remember the names of the Palestinian scientists and thinkers, as well as Arab and Muslim politicians who were assassinated in various ways. During the current Intifada, occupation authorities intensified the assassination of Palestinian leadership with the objective of breaking the fabric of the Palestinian society and weakening Palestinian steadfastness and resistance to the occupation. The occupation forces have used various forms of terrorism to carry out its assassination policy. They have mainly relied on the Zionist Air Force, which used its best soldiers to indiscriminately bomb homes and cars, regardless of if women and children were inside. Soldiers from the Air Force do not hide the pleasure they feel when committing these crimes on a daily basis against unarmed Palestinians. They justify the assassinations by saying that they are aimed at stopping resistance operations. There are confrontations almost daily between an entity that receives a great deal of support and aid and a nation that is deprived from life's basic necessities. This has made international laws irrelevant. Palestinians are subjected to the laws of the jungle, where victims are demanded to respect the dignity of the victimizers.
Morocco recalled its ambassador from Spain after what it describes as a regrettable plan by Spain's King Juan Carlos to visit the cities of Quetta and Melilla, which are under Spanish occupation. Rabat has been demanding sovereignty over the two cities for more than 5 centuries. Suhir Salem takes a look into the special features of these two cities.
Geographically and historically speaking, Quetta and Melilla are Moroccan cities which were part of the Umayyad state in Andalusia and were later occupied by Portugal, then by Spain in the middle of the 15th century AD. From the coasts of Quetta and Melilla, the Islamic armies marched to Spain and conquered Andalusia. Also from the Strait of Quetta, the legendary Tariq bin Ziyad led the Islamic armies and burned the ships, leaving the sea behind him and the enemy in front of him. Quetta and Melilla are located in the far northern part of Morocco and are surrounded by Moroccan territories from all sides. The majority of the people in Quetta and Melilla are Amasig, which are natives of the Arab Maghreb before the Islamic conquest took place there. Most people in the Arab Maghreb are Muslims from Arabic or Amasig descent. Quetta and Melilla, which have been granted limited autonomy, are currently under Spain's rule. However, the Kingdom of Morocco insists that the two cities are part of Morocco and should enjoy the same rights as other Moroccan cities. Morocco has repeatedly demanded that Spain engage in direct talks with Rabat over the sovereignty of the two cities. However, aside from history, Quetta and Melilla remain a special case of colonization, especially since colonization, in its old image, is on the way to vanishing from the face of the earth.
بدأ اللاجئون العراقيون في سوريا بالعودة إلى بلادهم.
An increasing number of Iraqi refugees in Syria have returned to their homes in the past few weeks. Iraqis and travel agents accredit this increase to the gradual improvements in the security situation in Iraq, as well as the difficult living and economic conditions of the Iraqis in Syria.
في سوريا.
العراقيون في سوريا قرروا العودة إلى وطنهم.
The Iraqis in Syria decided to go back to their homes. In the suburbs of Damascus, travel agencies reversed their route for the first time in 4 years, heading from Damascus to Baghdad. Entire families have left and many others are preparing to leave.
We send out 3 GMC cars and 7 to 8 buses daily. Each car carries 6 passengers and each bus carries 33 passengers.
The number of people returning to Baghdad began increasing a few days before Eid and continued until today, with an average of 250 to 300 individuals per day.
Several reasons have compelled the Iraqis to go back home, including the improvement in the security situation, which has given them hope of living peacefully in their country.
In my opinion, the most important reason is the improvement in the security situation, especially in the previously hot areas of Baghdad.
There has been a rise in the buying power and a rise in the prices of basic commodities, essential daily necessities, and rent. So when people began feeling reassured about the situation back home, they began to head back.
Syrian authorities did not release the exact numbers of Iraqis who left for Iraq, but they estimate that it is at a rate of 1,000 travelers per day. It is expected that this movement will continue to increase in the coming weeks. The Iraqi people hope that their country will continue its healing process. The return of thousands of Iraqis to their cities and villages is an omen that more people will return to a peaceful and stable country.
The municipality of Baghdad continues to move forward with its comprehensive plan aimed at restoring public services to the residents of Fadl and Abu Sufain in central Baghdad. This news comes after the area was declared secure from terrorists.
Meanwhile, the residents, who praised the government and local authorities for their support, expressed relief for the return of peace and security to their areas.
The area of Fadl is one of Baghdad's most prominent districts and is home to some of the most popular commercial markets in the Iraqi capital. While life has returned to normal in Fadl, the residents complain that the city has been battered by concrete barriers.
We thank the government for its efforts to maintain security here. We are now living in peace and some people began working again.
Thank God we now have security. This news was made possible by the government and good people of Iraq. We thank the municipality of Baghdad for its efforts to maintain peace and to achieve national reconciliation. However, we ask the government to remove the concrete barriers from the city.
These concrete barriers must be removed because they are hindering people from working. They are disrupting life here, making it difficult for local shops to conduct business, including receiving and sending shipments.
The concrete barriers have not stopped the municipality of Baghdad or the Iraqi satellite channel from carrying out their duties. The residents confirm that the municipality of Baghdad has indeed exerted massive efforts to make the Iraqi capital cleaner and more beautiful.
I thank the head of the Baghdad Municipal Administration and the Director General of Public Work, Abed Karim Wahidi, for their efforts aimed at developing the area of Fadl and cleaning the piles of garbage which have accumulated on its street. We hereby ask His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Iraq, to remove the concrete barriers from the Fadl area and from Kifa Street. With this, all the street will reopen and stay clean. Nearly 75% of the local shops have reopened for business.
I thank the head of Baghdad's municipal administration and our brothers at the municipality, including all the officials and the workers. I also thank all the business owners who reopened their shops. I reopened my shop on the first day of Eid Fitr holiday. I personally thank Haj Adel Misadani for his efforts to bring together the people of Sideria, Abu Sufain, Saeed Ibrahim, and Fadl.
Local officials in Baghdad confirmed that the municipality plans to launch several major projects aimed at improving the city and rehabilitating its streets, especially in and around the commercial centers.
Every day we carry out cleanup operations in those areas, once known as hotspot areas, including Fadl, Abu Safain, and Sabah. In addition, we are cleaning garbage from the streets on a daily basis. We also repaired some of the damaged water networks in the city. We are working hard to make Baghdad cleaner and more beautiful, God willing.
The Iraqi government has indeed exerted massive and tireless efforts to improve public services throughout the Iraqi capital. This news comes after Iraq's rules of law security plan produced tangible results on the ground. Now that the Iraqi government restored security and achieved national reconciliation in the areas of Fadl and Abu Safain, the residents are calling for the removal of all concrete barriers from the streets. In addition, they are urging local business owners to reopen their shops.
Lebanon is witnessing a new wave of inflation which is affecting all of the necessary commodities for consumption. Many believe that the political showdown in Lebanon has overshadowed the economic and social situation in the country. Adnan Ghamouche has the details from Beirut.
The political crisis in Lebanon has overshadowed the economic and social situation in the country. Amidst this political showdown, there appears to be no solutions on the horizon to combat the rise of inflation, which continues to break new records. While the rate of inflation rose to 7%, the rate of the cost of living soared to a new record high of 60%. The Lebanese expressed their fears over the deteriorating economic and living conditions in the country. In addition, consumers' purchasing power in Lebanon continues to decline. Meanwhile, the Lebanese continue to wait for change, which does not appear to be coming anytime soon.
Everything is very expensive. The price of everything is going up. The only thing that is going down is human value. I can't give credits for more than 3 days.
Definitely, we have inflation here. A carton of milk increased from 500 to 750 Lebanese liras. 250 liras does not amount to much money. When you raise the price from 500 to 750 liras, you get a 50% rise in the inflation rate. Lettuce has also increased from 1,000 liras to 1,500, which is a 50% price hike. Public transit also increased, with riders' fares increasing from 1,000 liras to 1,500, which is also an increase of 50%.
The continued price increase of food has reached a dangerous level recently. This news prompted some to question the role of the government and the price of monitoring agencies.
If an item requires 5% or 4% price hike, they raise it by 10% instead. There's no monitoring or accountability. We don't have anyone monitoring or checking the prices. We don't have any monitoring at all.
The increase in prices is not normal, especially for cheese, yogurt, and milk. Those who have children face a big problem.
The current disorder in the prices compelled many to ring the warning bells. This means that the situation may be heading towards a dangerous economic and social crisis.
The government cannot say that foreign reasons are behind this, and they cannot hide behind that. The situation is serious. There has been no similar rise in prices anywhere else in the world. Increases throughout the world have not exceeded 5%. In Lebanon, as I said, prices have exceeded 29.9%.
The political and security crisis that have been going on for several months, as well as the contempt felt by merchants, have all contributed to the steep rise of prices in Lebanon, thus affecting the general social situation. Meanwhile, Lebanese citizens are still waiting for the promised relief.
The Hayat newspaper reported today that the German magazine Der Spiegel reported that the 2 Israeli soldiers who were captured by Hezbollah in July 2006 have died, indicating that Israeli officials are convinced that the 2 soldiers will not return alive. The magazine said that there is no indication that they are still alive. It noted that the International Red Cross was not given permission to visit the 2 soldiers in Lebanon and that there has not been any letters from them.
Well,
Well, 2 Egyptian policemen have been sentenced to 3 years in jail over a case that sent shockwaves through the country's police force. The policemen were found guilty of torturing a bus driver last year. From Cairo, Al-Iraqiya has this report.
These are the shots that shocked Egyptians and the world. Ahmad al-Kabir, a minibus driver being tortured by a police officer. The first graphic evidence of the kind of treatment a citizen could face in an Egyptian police station. And here is Ahmad almost 2 years later. I met him at a cafe. He didn't want us to film him at his home. He told me he wants his family to put the painful incident behind them. But it's been tough. It was the police who shot the torture video, disgracing Ahmad by sexually abusing him with a broomstick.
I found out that the video made people spot me, pointing at me, saying, "This is the abused guy, this is the tortured guy." I couldn't take it anymore.
Ahmad stood up to face his torturers and insisted on suing the police in spite of pressure by them not to press charges.
People now get beaten, humiliated and tortured. These people need someone to defend them, to cry out, to stop torture.
The trial is described by some here as a landmark case. It has already encouraged people to come forward in other incidents of police brutality. Like this case where a policeman allegedly beat a farmer to death in the Egyptian Delta. Or the case of a police corporal who's said to have thrown a man from a 4th-floor balcony to force him to withdraw a complaint against him. Accused policemen in both cases are facing trials now. The police is publicly silent, but their allies deny all allegations of systematic abuse and violations of human rights.
The police minister doesn't tolerate such mistakes or protect guilty police officers. Perhaps the individual policeman is inexperienced, was provoked by the suspect, or could have been overworked. This behaviour is not what they're taught in the police academy.
Although more Egyptians today are willing to file complaints against the police, some are still afraid.
Of course I'm afraid, even talking to a policeman.
While I'm filming now, I'll run if told a policeman is coming.
For now, Ahmad hopes that more and more people will agree with him that keeping silent about abuse is no longer an option. Al-Iraqiya, Al Jazeera, Cairo.
Hi, I'm Jamal Dajani, producer of the show you've just been watching, Mosaic, World News from the Middle East. Just a short while ago, we came to you asking for your help to keep Mosaic on the air. We needed to raise $200,000, and I'm happy to announce that we did it. No, as a matter of fact, you did it. More than 1,600 of you helped us to reach our goal, and I want to thank you on behalf of the Mosaic team right here at Link TV for your support. Stay informed, keep watching, and thank you again.
One nation, many voices. The stories of Muslims in America. At work, at play, having fun. What is life like for the millions of people in this country who practice Islam?
And then finally I looked in my heart.
Even today, Muslims still recite
kind of in limbo.
Now's your chance to share stories of Muslims in America in our One Nation, Many Voices online film contest. We're awarding $50,000 in cash prizes divided among 6 categories: comedy, drama, documentary, animation or music, a special category for filmmakers 18 and under, plus films under 60 seconds long. You don't have to be a Muslim to enter or to vote for your favorite films online. You just have to live in the United States. The new deadline for entries is December 31st, 2007, so hurry. Check out details at linktv.org/onenation. One Nation, Many Voices. Muslims in America. Stories, not stereotypes.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This program was brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.